Have you ever met someone who made you feel small every single day? Someone who smiled in front of others but quietly destroyed your confidence when nobody was looking? I did, and for years, I stayed silent. I thought being patient would change things. I thought kindness would eventually win. I was wrong, because some people don't stop hurting others until they finally face the truth. And when that truth finally came out, everything changed. My name is Sarah. 5 years ago, I got what I thought was my dream job. I was hired by a successful marketing company in the city. I wasn't rich. I didn't come from a powerful family. I didn't have connections. I only had one thing. I worked hard. On my first day, I was nervous but excited. I wanted to prove myself. I wanted to build a better future. That's when I met Ryan. Ryan was one of the senior managers. Everyone respected him. At least, that's what it looked like. He was confident, smart, funny, and somehow always the center of attention. The moment he walked into a room, people listened. At first, I admired him. I thought I could learn a lot from him. But I had no idea what kind of person he really was. During my first team meeting, I presented a small idea for a client campaign. I spent days preparing it. I was proud of my work. When I finished speaking, the room became quiet. Then Ryan laughed. Not a small laugh. A loud one. The kind that makes everyone else uncomfortable. "That's your big idea?" he asked. A few people looked down at the table. Others forced nervous smiles. My face turned red. I wanted to disappear. Ryan continued. "I've seen better ideas from interns." The room laughed. Not because it was funny. Because Ryan was the boss. And nobody wanted to disagree with him. That was the first time. But it wasn't the last. Weeks turned into months. And somehow I became Ryan's favorite target. Every meeting felt like a trap. Every presentation became an opportunity for him to embarrass me. If I made a small mistake, he would point it out in front of everyone. If I succeeded, he would take credit. If I stayed quiet, he called me unprepared. If I spoke up, he called me arrogant. No matter what I did, I couldn't win. At first, I blamed myself. Maybe I wasn't good enough. Maybe he was right. Maybe I really didn't belong there. Those thoughts followed me everywhere. I stopped enjoying work. I stopped sleeping well. Even my friends noticed something was wrong. One evening, my best friend Emma looked at me and asked, "Why do you keep letting him do this?" I sighed. "What choice do I have?" She shook her head. "There's always a choice." But I didn't believe her. Not yet. Because Ryan seemed untouchable. The company loved him. Clients loved him. Even upper management treated him like a star. Nobody saw what happened behind closed doors. Or maybe they saw it and chose to ignore it. As the years passed, things got worse. One day, our team landed a major client. It was the biggest project I had ever worked on. For 3 months, I gave it everything. Late nights, weekends, countless revisions. I poured my heart into that project. When presentation day arrived, I felt confident. The client loved our proposal. Everything went perfectly, or at least I thought it did. The next morning, the CEO called Ryan into his office. An hour later, Ryan walked out smiling. The company announced that Ryan would receive a special bonus for the success of the project. My project, my work, my ideas, my effort, and my name wasn't mentioned once. I sat there in silence, listening to everyone congratulate him. Something inside me broke that day. Not loudly, not dramatically, quietly, like a glass, cracking under pressure. For the first time, I realized something important. Ryan wasn't humiliating me because I was weak. He was humiliating me because he was afraid. Afraid of competition. Afraid someone might outperform him. Afraid people would discover he wasn't as talented as he pretended to be. That realization changed everything. I started paying attention. Really paying attention. And what I discovered shocked me. Ryan wasn't just taking credit for my work. He was taking credit for everyone's work. He had built his reputation on other people's efforts. Every success story had someone else's fingerprints on it. Every achievement had a hidden truth behind it. But nobody dared speak up. Because Ryan knew how to protect himself. He knew exactly what to say. Exactly who to impress. Exactly how to stay untouchable. Or so he thought. One evening, after everyone left the office, I stayed behind. I was organizing old project files when I noticed something strange. A folder, hidden deep inside the company database. At first, I ignored it. Then curiosity took over. I opened it. Inside were dozens of documents. Emails, reports, client records, and something else. Something that made my heart race. I stared at the screen, reading the same line over and over again. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. For years, Ryan had been hiding a secret that could destroy the image he had spent years building. Suddenly, all the humiliation, all the insults, all the stolen credit, everything started making sense. I leaned back in my chair, my hands shaking. For the first time in 5 years, I wasn't scared. I wasn't sad. I wasn't defeated. I felt something else. Hope, because the truth had finally found its way into my hands. And Ryan had no idea. No idea that the person he spent years humiliating was about to uncover everything. The question wasn't whether his secret would come out. The question was when, and trust me, the answer would leave everyone speechless. I sat alone in the office staring at the computer screen. The building was almost empty. Outside, the city lights glowed through the windows. But my attention was locked on the documents in front of me. The more I read, the more shocked I became. Ryan wasn't just taking credit for other people's work. He had been doing it for years. Hidden inside those files were emails showing that many of his biggest achievements were actually created by other employees. Ideas, reports, client strategies, presentations. The things that made him look brilliant had often come from someone else. Yet somehow, Ryan always managed to place himself at the center of every success. I couldn't believe nobody had exposed him before. Then I realized why. Most of the people involved no longer worked at the company. Some had resigned, some had been transferred, others had simply given up. Ryan had survived because nobody stayed long enough to challenge him. I closed the folder and took a deep breath. For the first time in years, I felt like I finally understood the game. Ryan's power wasn't built on talent. It was built on fear. Fear kept people silent, fear protected his reputation, and fear allowed him to continue. The next morning, I acted like nothing had happened. I greeted everyone normally, attended meetings, answered emails, smiled when necessary. Meanwhile, Ryan continued behaving exactly as he always had. During a team meeting, he interrupted me 3 times. When I explained an idea, he rolled his eyes. Then he made a joke at my expense. The room laughed again, but this time something was different. I wasn't embarrassed. I wasn't angry, because I knew something he didn't. His secret was no longer safe. Over the following weeks, I quietly gathered information. I wasn't looking for revenge anymore. I was looking for the truth. There was a difference. If I was going to expose Ryan, I wanted facts. Not rumors, not assumptions, facts. So I started documenting everything. Every email, every project, every meeting, every moment where someone else's work suddenly became Ryan's achievement. The pattern became impossible to ignore. The evidence kept growing. One day I reached out to a former employee named Daniel. His name appeared several times in the old files. After some hesitation, he agreed to meet me. We sat in a small coffee shop across town. At first he seemed nervous. Then I mentioned Ryan. Daniel laughed bitterly. "He's still doing it, isn't he?" That one sentence told me everything. For the next hour, Daniel shared his story. Years earlier, he had created a strategy that brought a major client to the company. Ryan had taken credit. Management rewarded Ryan. Daniel received nothing. When he complained, nobody listened. Eventually he quit. And he wasn't alone. Over the next month, I spoke with several former employees. Their stories were nearly identical. Different people, different years, same outcome. Ryan took the credit, others paid the price. Each conversation strengthened my resolve. But I still had a problem. Evidence alone wasn't enough. If I exposed him carelessly, he would find a way to twist the story. Ryan was good at manipulation. He always had been. I needed the right moment. The perfect moment. And eventually, that opportunity arrived. The company announced its annual leadership conference. Every executive would attend. Major clients would attend. Department heads would attend. It was the biggest event of the year. And guess who was scheduled to give the main presentation? Ryan. Of course. The company's golden star. The man everyone admired. The man everyone trusted. When I saw the announcement, an idea formed in my mind. A risky idea, but possibly the only chance I would ever get. For the next few weeks, I prepared carefully. I organized every piece of evidence. Every document, every email, every timeline, everything had to be perfect. There could be no mistakes. No exaggerations. No emotional outbursts. Only facts. As the conference approached, I barely slept. Part of me wondered if I should walk away. Life would certainly be easier. I could ignore everything. Find another job. Start over somewhere else. But then I remembered the years of humiliation. The countless moments Ryan had made people feel worthless. The careers he had damaged. The opportunities he had stolen. And I knew I couldn't stay silent. Not anymore. The morning of the conference finally arrived. The hotel ballroom was packed. Employees filled the seats. Executives sat near the stage. Important clients occupied the front rows. Everyone seemed excited. Ryan looked especially confident. He walked around shaking hands and smiling. The perfect leader. The perfect success story, at least on the surface. As I watched him from across the room, my heart pounded. This was it. Months of preparation had led to this moment. There would be no second chance. Ryan stepped onto the stage. The audience applauded. He smiled proudly. Then he began speaking. For the first few minutes, everything went exactly as expected. He talked about leadership, success, innovation, teamwork. Ironically, he spoke about honesty. Honesty. The word almost made me laugh. As his presentation continued, he displayed examples of his greatest accomplishments. Projects, campaigns, strategies. Many of them weren't even his. I recognized them immediately. The same stolen achievements hidden inside the documents I had collected. The same achievements that belonged to other people. My hands tightened. The moment had arrived, and Ryan still had no idea what was about to happen. The audience listened carefully. Executives nodded. Clients applauded. Ryan stood there enjoying every second. Then suddenly, everything changed. Because within the next few minutes, a truth hidden for years was about to come into the light. And once it did, there would be no going back. Ryan stood proudly on the stage. The audience watched him with admiration. Executives smiled. Clients applauded. Everything was going exactly the way he wanted. Then the conference moderator stepped forward. Before we continue, she said, we have a special contribution from another team member. Ryan looked confused. He hadn't expected that. Neither had most people in the room. My heart pounded as I stood up. Hundreds of eyes turned toward me. For a brief moment, I felt nervous. But then I remembered every insult. Every public humiliation. Every stolen achievement. And suddenly, the fear disappeared. I walked toward the stage. Ryan's smile faded. Not completely. Just enough for me to notice. I reached the microphone. The room became silent. Good morning, I said. My name is Sarah. Most people already knew me. But nobody knew why I was standing there. I took a slow breath. Then I continued. For years, this company has celebrated success. Today I'd like to talk about the people behind that success. The audience listened carefully. Ryan shifted uncomfortably. I could see it in his eyes. Something felt wrong to him. But he still didn't know what was coming. A large screen stood behind us. I connected my presentation. The first slide appeared. An old project. A project Ryan had proudly claimed as his own years earlier. Then another slide appeared. An email. The original email, showing who had actually created the project. Not Ryan. Someone else. A quiet murmur spread through the audience. Ryan's expression changed instantly. He tried to smile. Tried to stay calm. But I could see the panic beginning. I continued. Another project. Another email. Another piece of evidence. Again and again. Each slide told the same story. Someone worked hard. Ryan took credit. Someone deserved recognition. Ryan received the reward. The ballroom grew quieter with every minute. Nobody interrupted. Nobody looked away. The truth was unfolding in front of everyone. And the evidence spoke for itself. I wasn't attacking Ryan. I wasn't making accusations. I was simply showing facts. That made it impossible to ignore. For years, Ryan had controlled the story. Now the documents were telling a different one. I glanced toward the executives. Some looked shocked. Others looked disappointed. A few seemed angry. One executive kept reviewing the documents on a tablet. His face became more serious with every slide. Ryan finally stepped forward. These documents are being taken out of context, he said quickly. His voice sounded different, less confident, less powerful. For the first time, he seemed nervous. I nodded politely. Then I displayed another document. And another. And another. Each one answered the excuses before he could even make them. The audience wasn't seeing one mistake. They were seeing a pattern. A pattern stretching across years. At that moment, Ryan realized something. The room wasn't on his side anymore. The room was listening to the truth. I finished the final slide. Then I looked directly at the audience. For years, talented people worked hard behind the scenes, I said. They deserved recognition. They deserved respect. Many never received either. The room remained completely silent. Then something unexpected happened. A voice came from the audience. It was one of the former employees I had contacted. He stood up. Then another former employee stood. And another. Several people began sharing their own experiences. One after another. Their stories matched the evidence perfectly. Suddenly, what had seemed impossible to prove became impossible to deny. The truth wasn't coming from one person anymore. It was coming from many. Ryan looked around the room, searching for support, searching for someone to defend him. Nobody did, not a single person, because the facts were too clear. The silence around him said everything. For years, Ryan had made others feel small. Now he understood what it felt like to stand alone. The conference ended early. Executives requested a private meeting. Ryan was asked to step away from his position while an investigation took place. As people left the ballroom, conversations filled the room. Nobody was talking about Ryan's presentation anymore. They were talking about the truth. For the first time in years, people felt comfortable speaking openly. The following weeks brought major changes. The company reviewed old projects. Former employees received long overdue recognition. Several policies were updated to protect employees from similar situations. Most importantly, people started feeling heard and respected. As for Ryan, his reputation never fully recovered. Not because someone ruined it. Because the truth finally caught up with it. A reputation built on honesty grows stronger. A reputation built on someone else's work eventually falls apart. That's a lesson many people forget. A few months later, something surprising happened. The CEO called me into his office. I assumed it was another meeting. Instead, he thanked me. Not for exposing Ryan, but for having the courage to speak when everyone else stayed silent. Soon after, I was offered a leadership role. Not because I wanted revenge. Not because I had defeated someone. But because people finally saw the work I had been doing all along. For years, I believed Ryan controlled my future. I believed he controlled my success. I believed he controlled my worth. I was wrong. No one has that power unless you give it to them. Looking back now, I don't feel angry anymore. I don't even feel satisfaction. I feel relief. Because carrying years of frustration is exhausting. The moment the truth came out, that weight disappeared. And that's something I will never forget. So if someone is constantly making you feel small, if someone keeps taking credit for your efforts, if someone keeps convincing you that your voice doesn't matter, remember this: the truth may take time. Justice may take time. Recognition may take time. But time has a way of revealing what people try hardest to hide. Ryan spent years building an image. I spent years building real skills. When the truth finally arrived, only one of those things survived. And that's the lesson of this story. Never waste your energy trying to become someone powerful. Focus on becoming someone honest. Because power can disappear, status can disappear, attention can disappear, but character remains. And in the end, character always tells the real story.